In order to roll the burrito, you must become the burrito. I wanted to talk about letting go. It's something that a lot of us have difficulty with. Letting go is ultimately accepting what is in this current situation and removing the resistance of denying reality. Nothing is permanent in this life of ours. There are things we experience that exist far beyond our lifespan that seem permanent, such as oceans and mountains. But over time, even those things will cease to be, and the universe will continue to do what it does in expanding and creating new. We tend to place a sense of self in external things as if it were from our essence, such as things like identifying with what car you drive, or your physique, or the abilities you have, or even in the fact that we are seen as being a part of a couple or part of a group. And now the mind has said, I am this, which allows for a building up of separation in your mind from others that don't relate to what you identify with, and thus strengthening the bond with the ego. The problem is that none of these external factors are permanent, and so when you place a sense of self in something that is fleeting, you'll find yourself feeling lost and afraid, and feel as if you are facing death in a sense, because the ego has built up a story in the mind that you are whatever this thing may be, and now you've lost it, or you have to give it up, which in turn will cause you to react from a conditioned place of fear, and you'll try so hard to keep a grip onto whatever is holding you down. Sometimes we can't realize that the thing we're holding onto so tightly because we feel as if it's a part of ourselves is actually the cause of this negative thought concept we keep perpetuating in our mind. We've allowed ourselves to become tethered down by a noun and tied our sense of self to a person, place, or thing that is basically telling us, I am nothing without this in my life. I am the partner of so-and-so, or I was born here so that makes me this or that, or I believe that I'm better than others because I drive this or that vehicle. Realizing that all those things we identify with are just based on environmental conditioning throughout our life's experiences. Had you been born anywhere else in the world, you would have had an entirely different view of what is important based on environment. So that means what you identify with currently can't really truly be your essence if it's based on environmental factors. Coming to know that at the root of our being, we aren't any of those things is a big step towards letting go of the identification with external forms. You also have to show compassion and forgiveness with yourself, and allow for the acceptance that we have made many of what we would consider the wrong choices throughout our life. And trust me, you'll make many more. It's the way we learn and evolve as humans. Allow yourself to grieve whatever you need to if necessary. Suffering is how we reach a point of no longer wanting to suffer. But know that following those thoughts and identifying with them only deepens the ego's bond to that negative form identity, and thus making it even more difficult to let go of. We have a fear of leaving our comfort zone, and so the mind will continually make excuses for why you have to keep holding on to this thing that has become a burden in your life. It's like you've picked up a hot coal and put a sense of identity into it. So now you can't be seen without your hot coal that you've become known for having. And despite it causing you immense suffering, you simply can't give it up because it's what others have come to expect from you. You've even come to expect it from yourself, and you're trying to convince yourself that the pain is fine and worth it, so there's no need to let go. Ultimately, you have to come to the point of no longer wanting to carry around the burden and the pain, then decide to let go and walk away from it. Bringing yourself into the present moment, and from that point, the real healing can begin, and you'll have gained great strength from all those years of lessons you learned while carrying around this heavy burden that you've freed yourself from. All your power lies in living in the present moment, where you can take control of what is happening in front of you and decide how you choose to react to life's situations. I really appreciate you for being here and sharing your time with me. The response from everyone has been uplifting, and I'm grateful for all that are willing to listen to what I've learned through my experiences. So thank you for that. And remember, in order to roll the burrito, you must become the burrito.